Good morning. This is Rich Sierra, President of the Florida Small Business Legal Center. This is episode number 28 of Business SOS. Every week we bring you some new content that help business owners navigate the legal challenges they face in their businesses. And I'm very thankful and grateful that you are listening to me this morning or afternoon, wherever you listen to the show. Today, I want to do something a little bit different from other shows. I think it is appropriate since we've been doing this for a few months. I'm going to talk about my practice. I'm going to talk about the Florida Small Business Legal Center and the services that we offer, especially in relation to small business owners, which is all we do. Basically, that's what we do exclusively, is really help business owners solve their legal problems. Before I do, I'd like you to please participate in the show. If you have a legal question that you'd like me to address, when I mention your name, simply any type of issue that you may have and you'd like me to address it in the show and more on a conceptual basis, it will not constitute legal advice, but I certainly will address whatever challenges that you have that you'd like me to address. Please send me an email at rich, R-I-C-H, at richsierra.com. And if I select your question and I address it in the show, I'll send you a free autographed copy of my book, Business SOS, 8 Common Legal Mistakes Business Owners Make and How to Avoid Them. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever you can ask for your local bookstore. But I'll send you a copy of the book, and I think it's very helpful. It'll be a good guide and a good reference guide in the various common mistakes and challenges that, in my experience, every business owner faces at some point in his or her journey. So in a nutshell, now we've been practicing for 19 years. I've, interviewed or been in contact with 2,000 business owners in my careers. So pretty much about every business challenge that a business owner may face in their career, for the most part, I've seen, because they're very common themes, and they all deal with either contract issues or litigation issues. So what we do, basically, we help business owners in any type of transactional issue. Say, for example, you need to have an employment agreement drafted. You have an independent contractor agreement. You need to be drafted as well. Sometimes you have the terms of service of your business, whatever business you're in. If you have a contract that you have to provide to your customers, you need to make sure that all those terms are well drafted and that you have the proper enforceability provisions in that contract. That's what we do. We make sure that, your relationship with your client is based on that contract. So that contract, declaring the contract is essential. So what we do is make sure that we look at the terms and we discuss with you the terms of what you're trying to accomplish in reference to your service, to make sure that those terms are included there. But also we look at the worst case scenario. What happens if there's a dispute in that contract? How are we going to address that? What happens if you do not get paid based on those terms? How are you going to enforce the contract? So those are the things that we look at and make sure that the contract is well written to help you to make sure you have a solid foundation in that relationship, to make sure that you are able to enforce the contract effectively in the case that a contract is breached. So that's one of the things that we do. In my website, Florida Small Business Legal Center, we have over 50 or 60 items list. And it's a section of problems we solve. And I brought that with me today as a reference to talk about some of those items. But also, if you want to have any questions in terms of going to my website, you can look at the problems we solve, and that gives you kind of an idea of the types of questions or type of issues that we handle that most likely you might fit into one of those categories. And if not, just give us a call. And if it's something that we handle, we'll tell you. Something we do not handle, we'll try to refer you to another attorney that might be able to help you, or to a bar association that will give you a referral. For the most part, we give a 30-minute free consultation via Zoom or telephone. And it simply is a case evaluation. And I want to talk about what to expect in that first meeting with me. And basically what we try to do is find out what is the legal issue that brought you to call me in the first place. Obviously, something happened, whether a contract was breached whether somebody's alleging that you breached a contract, whether you received a summons for a lawsuit that you may perhaps were sued for whatever reason. Maybe you're thinking that, you know what, it's time that I talk to an attorney about suing someone because my contract was breached. Maybe you received a subpoena from from an attorney for documents for a lawsuit that's unrelated to you. So something happened along the way that you say, it's time for me to call an attorney. You talk to a paralegal, Richard Fariello, first. He'll make an assessment. He'll do some intake, and by 5 or 10 minutes, get some information from you. Then he'll send it to me. Then we'll basically, if it's something that we usually handle in a big picture perspective, we'll schedule an appointment. And again, it's a case evaluation to determine whether or not this is something that we can help you with. In those 30 minutes, we're not going to do a deep dive in your case. It's just not possible. Simply because cases are individual, they might be complex, but pretty much we can assess whether or not this is something that we handle, number one. Number two, if it's something that we can help you with. And at that meeting, if we're able to determine that at that point, and we do not need another follow-up call, we can discuss fees at that point. We can discuss cost, expectations, and then if you want to move forward and we accept the case, we'll follow up with a retainer agreement. Then you sign it, and with the representation begins at that point. That in the process. So, but the objective is to begin to establish that relationship. You get to know me, I get to know you, and to determine whether or not we want to work together in resolving your problem. Again, my philosophy is that in legal problems, you want to solve them as soon as possible and as effectively as possible, simply because they are a distraction on your business. If you have businesses, as a business owner, you have challenges already. You have to deal with payroll, you have to deal with cash flow, you got to deal with customers, you got to deal with vendors, you got to deal with marketing, you got to deal with pretty much demand, you got to deal with the sales are good that day or not. There's so many different challenges you have to get through. So when you add that in, a legal problem, that is something that you were not expecting, but it happens to pretty much everyone in business. If you're doing this for a long time, it will happen at some point for the most part. Then it's a distraction. So what we do, we understand that. We understand that is a distraction in your business. So we want to basically take that distraction away from you, handle it for you, call you when we need you, but basically get that problem resolved as soon as possible so you can go forward in running your business without this distraction. So some of the things that we handle that are very common, commercial leases, whether you are, renewing your lease, whether you're getting into a brand new lease, that's something that we can help you with. And I've had in prior podcast a section, I think it was 2 or 3 podcasts ago, I dedicated an entire podcast on commercial leases because they're very important. And I'd recommend that if you are in the process of renewing your lease, or you're about to get into a brand new lease, talk to an attorney to help you interpret the document, help you negotiate that lease, and don't go at it alone. That's a very complex document. There's some significant financial consequences, financial obligations to the document, to that lease. So it's something that we can help you with. If you get sued, and I still see it, and I've repeated this various times in various podcasts before, if you receive a summons to a lawsuit, my recommendation is to not answer the lawsuit. If you receive a summons, you have 20 days to reply, to file an answer. You have 20 days. If you use those 20 days effectively, you can go ahead and have an attorney between that time. So the idea when you receive a lawsuit is not to panic, not to say, okay, my God, let me start writing a letter to the judge, which a lot of people do to my frustration. And then by the time they come to me to say, yeah, somebody got sued. Richard tells me that this client got sued, and he sent a letter to the judge, and that just complicates things. So my recommendation, if you get sued, call us, let us take a look at it to see how we can help you. But and when you're dealing with lawsuits, the philosophy should be do no harm. And there are just so many complex rules and the rules of civil procedure that you do not know unless you're an attorney who practices in this area. And by filing something with the court, you might have waived some defenses that could have been raised if you did not send that document in the first place. So the key here is when you received any type of summons, you got to act with diligence as a business owner and not just let it sit and do nothing. Those 20 days are critical. They're very important. So from day one, just take a deep breath. And it's a lawsuit, not the end of the world. Yeah, there are a lot of things in that lawsuit that will get you upset. Unfortunately, there might be inflammatory. Unfortunately, there are things that you say, this is not true. I want to reply immediately. I want to counter-sue. I want to sue them back. It is normal, okay? But the idea is that you receive it, take a deep breath. Next morning, you start calling attorneys and interview attorneys. But the key here is to use the time effectively and not wait to the 19th day to say, I got sued, I need an attorney, and then you have 1 day left to reply to that particular lawsuit. It just puts a lot of pressure on you and also on the attorney, because they only have 1 day to make a decision of who you're going to hire and what course of action to take. And if you don't do the 20 days, the other attorney can file a motion for the clerk's default and try to default you and try to pursue the case into a final judgment. There are ways to get that reversed, but what happens if there becomes more work for the attorney, more costly to you, because then he has to undo something that could have been prevented in the first place if you hire an attorney within a 10-day, for example. So time is of the essence when you're dealing with lawsuits. Time is very important. You're dealing with lawsuits, do not sit on it. Do not procrastinate. It is important to address them, not ignore them. And we can help you with that. My approach with business litigation, again, is to try to get the case resolved as soon as possible. That is my approach. I understand that very few clients have unlimited funds to pursue a litigation case all the way to the 18 or 24 months that sometimes takes a case to take to trial. So I understand that. And most business litigation cases settle. And I recall a mediator, a judge, that said, in her opening, he said, this case will settle. We'll settle at the beginning, or it's going to settle at the end. But you will settle this case. And she was right. And the reason for that is because of the cost. So I try to get that resolved as soon as possible. We triage the case, we analyze the case and find out, okay, this is the course of action we need to take. We'll look at your budget, how much money you have to be able to address this particular problem, and we'll develop a strategy on how to handle it. And then we'll move forward. We both have to be on the same page in how to move forward with the case and the strategy that we're going to pursue. But that is basically my approach, and the approach has been successful for now going on 19 years. You don't want to be in a lawsuit any more than the other party. So, but you want to get this resolved, and if he has to go to court, you got to go to trial. This is your right, and this is right, or her right, and then we'll talk about that as well. But these problems can be resolved with some communication, and also with the proper strategy and tactics and how to get there. And we have been successful in doing that now for 19 years. Many of the cases that I also see in my practice is partnership disputes. It is very common for partners sometimes, something happens in a partnership that they decide to break up. It is a divorce and business. Sometimes partners have been together for years, 5 years, 3 years, but something happens in partnership, it goes awry, and basically it just goes south, and it's time to end it. Unfortunately, sometimes one partner decides that, I want to go ahead and it is my right to get the money out of the bank account. It is my right to lock the other partner, change the locks of the business and lock him or her out. It is my right to tell the vendors that, I'm the new owner of the business. There are many different things that take place in a partnership that, we handle many of them. Just like any type of litigation case, again, the objective is to resolve it. Sometimes we have to go to court for that. So if you're involved in a partnership and you have a partnership dispute, you'll receive a demand letter, usually from another attorney, that making accusations or asking for records that the other party probably has. But if you receive a demand letter, that's the time to call a business attorney and not respond to that attorney directly, because you're going to be outmatched. So we handle many partnership disputes. And again, our approach is to try to get it resolved. And for the most part, they do. In some cases, we have to go to court, but for the most part, we try to get them resolved because they can be resolved. The beauty of business litigation is that in our business disputes is that you have a white canvas. You can be very creative in how to solve problems. You can be, very creative in how to approach it as well. So it is very different from other areas of practice. In the case of, for example, family law, is obviously the parties want to get divorced, they will get divorced. And then you have children involved. There's a division of assets. There's a little more acrimonious for the most part. But it's also, there's certain things that must take place when you're dealing with a family law issue versus a business issue. And that's what I love what I do, because in a business matter, you can be very creative in how to approach it. And when dealing with business owners, they say, you know what, it's time to move on. Let's come up with a creative idea, creative solution to try to get this matter resolved. Another aspect that we also deal with is in the case of trademark infringement. Sometimes, business owners use a trademark, or they've been using a trademark for a number of years, and then somebody else decides to use a similar name. They decide to, and it becomes confusing, or perhaps they decide to use a mark which they did not know perhaps somebody else was using it, and you receive a demand letter saying, hey, this is our mark, you're infringing on our trademark, it is confusing, you have 10 days to stop using, otherwise we're going to sue you. So we deal with quite a bit of those as well. So if you're the recipient of a cease and desist letter for a trademark infringement, or if you are perhaps feel that your trademark was infringed upon, we also handle those matters as well. We also serve for some businesses that need ongoing support, legal support. We serve as outside general counsel for some of these companies as well. So that means that, we might meet once a month. We, talk every week. They might have contracts issues that they might have addressed. And those clients, or they might have some type of litigation issue as well, depending on the matter. But the benefit of having an outside general counsel is that we have understanding of the business, and there's an ongoing relationship that we have with that business, with that client. So you don't start from scratch in this case. This obviously is more for businesses that are different size in terms of revenue and also number of employees, that perhaps they don't want an in-house counsel because of the cost, but they perhaps could use the expertise and the knowledge of an outside general counsel that understands his or her business, but also be a kind of on an on-call basis and more of a monthly type of retainer. So we offer those services as well, and we have done that for a number of clients as well. And the benefit of that is that we understand that business. We're not going to be in a situation you're calling somebody for the first time and say, exactly what do you do? It's just really, for the business owner, becomes very frustrating if the attorney that you're talking to does not know what you do. The attorney has to understand your business. They understand, how you generate revenue. They have to understand your client base. They have to understand your vendors, customers. It's kind of an extension of your business. And that's, the general counsel concept, because then we understand it. You don't have to start from scratch when you call us about an issue affecting your business, because we already know it. We know what you do, we know how you do it, we know what your needs are. And that way we have continuity, and it's just a more effective conversation, and actually a less costly one, because you don't have to start from square one every time an issue comes up, calling an attorney brand new and then going right from the very beginning, like Groundhog's Day, explaining the same thing over and over again. So we offer that as well. Sometimes clients want to purchase franchises, and they want someone to review their franchise disclosure document. And I dedicated, in fact, I did a series on franchising in my podcast just a few weeks ago. So if you're interested in franchising, I recommend you go back to those episodes and look at them. Because I did a whole series, like a 3-part series on franchising, because it's such a broad document, a broad topic, which is not possible to cover in only one segment. But if you're interested in buying a franchise, we can help you with that. If you're interested in selling a franchise, we certainly can help you with that. Likewise, if you're interested in selling a business, we can assist you selling your business and preparing all the documents, making sure that all that you receive, the funds, the selling price that you agreed upon. If you're a buyer, we can also help you with buying a new business, or assisting with due diligence, making sure there are no liens on that particular business, that you buy the business free and clear of any potential encumbrances, liens, or any debts that you were not aware of. So we also help you negotiate that lease if it's a lease involved with that business as well. So we can help you with those things. Buying a business, selling a business, we can help you with that. Something else we also help clients is that sometimes employees leave the organization, and they may have a non-compete agreement, a non-solicitation agreement, or perhaps a confidentiality agreement, that they have access to confidential documents, confidential information of the business. So sometimes we need to intervene to protect that confidential information. That could be your client list, which is a proprietary client list. You have years to develop your client base, and you don't want an employee to take that from you. You don't want anyone to take that from you. Or perhaps a partner that decided to leave the company, start his own business or her own business, utilizing the client list of the business itself. So those are the things also we help, and sometimes we need to go as far as seeking preliminary injunctions to protect those assets of the business. So enforcements of non-compete agreements, enforcements of non-solicitation agreements, confidential agreements to protect proprietary information and trade secrets. We also help businesses, help clients with that as well. Something else we assist with is that sometimes we have clients out of the area, they get sued in Florida, and they need representation. Sometimes clients from New York, California, name it, Texas, and they get sued in Florida. So we represent those clients in Florida courts to to assist them as well. And sometimes we have to look at whether or not they should be sued in Florida in the first place. Is something that we'll look at the jurisdiction. We'll look whether the party has the right to sue. So we do represent out-of-state clients in Florida for Florida matters as well. So if you're out of state and you have a Florida matter and you need a business attorney, we welcome the opportunity to speak with you to see whether or not we can help you. So there are just so many different things that we work with. One thing that we also do is represent clients in mediation. Say you have a mediation conference coming up and you need an attorney to represent you. We can represent you in that mediation conference and try to negotiate a potential settlement of the matter. And sometimes it's good to have an attorney at this mediation conference simply because we understand and we negotiate every single day. And that's what we do. And also, likewise, if you receive a notice of arbitration, we can represent you at the arbitration proceedings. So pretty much everything that a business owner might face in a legal perspective, we can assist you with. The key here is to make that phone call or send that email before the problem escalates, to see who we can get to intervene at the right moment so it does not escalate, becomes a bigger problem, does not compound. We have also represented clients in wage and hour issues. Say, you receive a demand letter. And again, the rule is that if you receive a demand letter from an attorney telling you to do X, Y, and Z, and if you do not do that within a period of time, they're going to sue you, that's the time to call an attorney. Do not ignore the letter. Do not start negotiating directly with the attorney. That's just, in my opinion, a bad idea. And I have clients do that, and then I tell them, I wish you didn't do that, and you call an attorney in the first place. And 9 out of 10 times, the business owner, because we are driven, because we are problem solvers, and we like to pretty much, we feel that we can solve everything. And, for the most part, that's the reason we become business owners, because that's kind of our personality, and we like to take care of things ourselves. But in certain situations, that might not be advisable, simply because it can compound the problem and it becomes more of an issue than from the attorney that at some point you're going to be calling anyway, to try to really begin that new interaction with that attorney after the fact. So you receive a demand letter from an attorney asking you to take certain action, because that's the only reason you get a demand letter in the first place. Okay? Do not sit on it. Take a deep breath. Call an attorney. And we can help you with that. We can help you take a look at the letter, analyze it, and make a determination how to address it, and try to resolve it, what I call at the pre-suit letter stage. And this is very important. There are different stages of disputes. If you're at a pre-suit letter stage, a lawsuit has not been filed. And that's a good thing, because you have an opportunity. That doesn't mean that you'll solve it, okay? But you'll have an opportunity before a lawsuit is actually filed in court to resolve it. If it doesn't get resolved at this stage, then obviously a lawsuit most likely will follow. But it is an opportunity. And when we're looking at business disputes, we're looking at off-ramps. We're looking at opportunities to resolve the problem, because it's going to get resolved at some point. It's going to get resolved either through negotiation and through the parties' agreement, whether it's individually or by themselves or through counsel, or it's going to get resolved in the court through a verdict. But it will get resolved. Might not get resolved the way you want to, but it's going to get resolved one way or the other. So the question is, does it get resolved on your terms, or does it get resolved on the terms of somebody else who has nothing to do with the case? That's really the distinction here, the determination. And in my opinion, it's better when a business dispute gets resolved on your terms, gets resolved on the terms that you want before it escalates into a bigger problem which involves then the courts, procedures, motions, discovery, depositions. And if you listen to my litigation podcast and in the episode that I went through, and you're for the lawsuit, it gives you kind of an eye-opening and more of a deep dive, so to speak, in really the cost of litigation and everything that litigation involved. It's not like TV that you get something happens at the beginning and then 30 minutes later you're going to trial. It does not work that way. Okay, you're talking about 12 to 18 months of litigation and process, including discovery, depositions, motion practice. And think of every time that you go through, anything happens in your case, you go through a toll road. So that's the analogy that I give. So you don't want to get involved in a protracted litigation process, if at all avoidable. And the pre-suit litigation is an opportunity, and I try to capitalize on that opportunity to try to get my clients out of the dispute at that stage before it escalates. So that's my philosophy. Let's get you out sooner. Let's resolve it, because it just does not get better as it escalates. And the cost and the emotional, I don't want to call it trauma, but it could be traumatic, but it's basically the psychological pressure that litigation places on a business owner is significant. So that is it's not only financial pressure, but it's psychological pressure as well. So when you're in your business, you got to be on top of your game. You got to be focused. This will distract your focus. So those are the things that we can help you with, and I understand the impact that litigation can have on a business owner. There are just so many different examples that I can go on, but the bottom line is this. If you have an issue that affects your business, a legal issue, if it's something that is keeping you up at night, that you have a legal question, give us a call. We offer a 30-minute free case evaluation. If it involves a large number of documents, we might charge for that, and we'll tell you in advance, listen, there's going to be too many documents. It's going to take me more time to review them. It's going to be X, Y, and Z dollars. And do you want to do it? Yes or no? So you'll know in advance. There's no surprise billing with us. And if you want to do it, fine. If not, I understand. But, the objective is you should not be losing sleep the entire week when you have an opportunity to call an attorney and get the question answered. It might be simple. It might be more complex. It might take a number of steps. But if something's keeping you up at night, that you have a legal problem regarding your business, give us a call. At the very least, we'll begin a relationship, begin the contact, and we'll see where this relationship can lead. This is all for today. I want to invite you again to participate in the show by sending me an email at richsierra.com. If I select your question, if you send me an email and tell me what would you like me to discuss on the show, and a specific topic that perhaps you have not heard about. And again, if I do not know about it, I'll bring an expert that can shed some light into the matter. I'll bring the expert. I'll bring somebody else to help us to address the issue. And if you do, I'll send you a free copy of my book, Business SOS, Common Legal Mistakes Business Owners Make and How to Avoid Them. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and available in your local bookstores as well. You can ask for it. If you want to reach me, my website is floridasmallbusinesslegalcenter.com. We're in Facebook at FSB Legal, FSB Legal. This podcast also, we have a video on the podcast and YouTube. It's youtube.com/@Richard Sierra. We're on Instagram at FSB Legal. Our number is 866-842-5202. If you like the podcast, I appreciate it if you give us, you follow us and subscribe not only to the podcast but also the YouTube channel. Please give us a review. Put a review there, and with 5 stars, hopefully, and then give us a review. And this helps the algorithms recommend the show to other business owners that might be helpful might benefit from the material. Until next week, this is Rich Sierra with the Florida Small Business Legal Center. Remember that my goal is to help you succeed.